Jeanette Roche. This is Forum Daily West. Here are some of the top stories we have lined up for you tonight. A sentencing hearing for Freedom Convoy leaders Tamara Lich and Chris Barber begins today. Also, the man accused of ramming an SUV into a crowd, killing 11 people at a street festival, will appear in court to see if he's fit to stand trial. And 3 miners trapped underground at a BC mine following an overnight accident. Thanks for joining us. It's the third and final day of the Premier's meeting in Ontario's cottage country. The Premiers and Prime Minister Mark Carney presented a united front yesterday in the face of U.S. tariffs, but revealed little about the negotiations with an August 1st deadline and trade talks fast approaching. On today's agenda, Premiers are addressing internal trade, healthcare, and public safety. Speaking to reporters, Ontario Premier Doug Ford said he wants to see changes to the current legislation of bail reform.
Well, we have to toughen up bail reform, and we can't release people the next day after they kick people's doors in, put guns to people's head, terrorize the neighborhood, terrorize families, and they get in the back of the police vehicle and they start mocking our police, and then they go to some weak-kneed a judge that lets them out. It's absolutely terrible, and we need mandatory sentences. You steal cars, you break into people's homes, there has to be a penalty, or they just keep repeating the offense, and people are done. It's not just they're out on bail once, they'll be out 4 or 5 times.
BC Premier David Eby made a surprise announcement at the end of today's meeting. He told reporters that 3 miners have been trapped underground at British Columbia's Red Chris copper and gold mine following an overnight accident.
They are, to the best of our knowledge, uninjured and in a refuge area. There was early communication with the company. The company is working with our world-leading mining rescue teams. BC miners are the best in the world. Our rescue teams are exceptional, and they will be working overtime to bring these workers home safely to their families.
Eby says 2 of the workers are from BC and another is from Ontario. The mine is about 230 kilometers south of the Yukon border. A sentencing hearing for Freedom Convoy leaders Tamara Lich and Chris Barber has begun in an Ottawa courtroom. 2 days have been set aside for the hearing. Back in April, both were convicted of mischief in connection to the 2022 protests of COVID-19 public health measures that saw the downtown core of the nation's capital paralyzed for 3 weeks. The Crown is seeking a 7-year prison sentence for Lich and 8 years for Barber, who was also convicted of disobeying a court order by encouraging demonstrators to keep honking their truck horns. A man accused of ramming an SUV into a crowd and killing 11 people at a Filipino street festival in Vancouver in April is set to appear in court today. A judge is holding a 2-day fitness hearing to determine if 30-year-old Adam Kaiji Low is fit to stand trial. Lowe is now facing 11 charges of second-degree murder after police announced yesterday that 3 additional charges had been approved. Vancouver police say months after the attack, 6 people are still in the hospital in stable condition. Well, the city of Lethbridge says Henderson Lake is seeing little algae bloom and cyanobacteria levels this summer, thanks in part to weather. 2 employees from Lethbridge Polytechnic, Tyler Branson and Jin Kim, monitor the lake's water every 2 weeks by collecting samples to measure oxygen levels, take nutritional analysis, and monitor algae concentration. Phosphorus can fuel algae growth, especially in hot weather. It was what caused a cyanobacteria advisory last summer, but cooler temperatures and heavy rainfall have caused levels to remain low this year. The city says the work of the 2 men helps keep tabs on the state of the lake in order to ensure safety for all people and pets surrounding it.
The main concern with cyanobacteria is the toxins that the bacteria can produce. When we're just looking at a lake that we presume has an algae bloom or cyanobacteria bloom, we don't know for sure whether it's toxic or not, so we tend to err on the side of caution. The toxins that are released are harmful to humans, animals, livestock, etc. So it's best to not have any contact. It can cause some skin irritations, but the majority of the concerns come if you ingest it or inhale it.
When we're out here on Tuesdays, we're mostly collecting our samples, and then we do the majority of our work back at the lab at the Polytechnic. So it is a two-phase process for us. It provides us a lot of hands-on experience, especially for some of the summer students we do bring out. It's not very often you get to do your Ekman grabs and are out on a lake for a morning taking these samples. So it's really beneficial for us to be able to provide these opportunities to students.
All eyes will be on a London, Ontario courtroom on Thursday as a judge is set to rule on whether the actions of 5 former junior hockey players inside a London hotel room in 2018 constituted sexual assault. The trial wrapped up about a month ago and has put sports culture under a national microscope and sparked a new wave of conversations about consent.
The trial itself had a lot of upheaval. There were a lot of challenges and setbacks. There was a mistrial almost right off the bat. And then several weeks later, the jury was dismissed again, and the whole thing switched to a judge alone just to avoid having to start over a second time. The legal experts I've spoken to say that, regardless of the outcome on Thursday, that this case has really sparked a lot of conversations about consent, and specifically, Canada's consent laws and the standard for consent, which is really high, and that it has the potential just to have an impact beyond kind of the legal sphere to the broader society. So some of that is those conversations that people are having amongst themselves and with their children about consent and those kinds of things. From a legal perspective, there's also some potentially interesting things, according to the experts. One of them could be what the judge says in terms of what are reasonable steps to take to determine whether someone is consenting, which was one of the big issues in the trial. And the other is that one of the charges that McLeod faces, which is being a party to the offense of sexual assault, is actually really unusual. During their submissions, the Crown said that being a party to an offense is usually used more in murder cases than sexual assault. And so it will be really interesting to see what the judge has to say about that.
Today in Boise, Idaho, a judge sentenced Brian Kohberger to life in prison without parole for the murders of 4 students at the University of Idaho in 2022. As part of a surprise plea deal before the start of his trial earlier this month, Kohberger admitted to killing the 4 students after entering their off-campus home. In court today, families of the victims addressed the killer.
He is a hollow vessel, something less than human. A body without empathy, without remorse. He chose destruction. He chose evil. He feels nothing. He tried to take everything from me. My friends, my safety, my identity, my future. He took their lives, but I will continue trying to be like them to make them proud.
As for his sentence, we support the plea agreement. Society needs to be protected against this evil. As for the defendant, we will not waste the words, nor will we fall into hatred and bitterness. Evil has many faces, and we now know this, but evil does not deserve our time and attention.
The judge gave Kohberger 4 consecutive life sentences for the murders, plus 10 years for felony burglary. Well, Parks Canada has canceled the permit for a rising mega Christian musicians concert at a historic site in Halifax. The, quote, controversial concert by American Christian rocker and missionary Sean Feucht was scheduled to happen tonight at the York Redoubt National Historic Site. Parks Canada says it revoked the permit for safety and security considerations based on confirmation of planned protests and on advice from police. Feucht responded on his YouTube channel.
We are hitting on something in the nation of Canada, and this is not the hour to back down. This is not the hour to cower. This is not the hour to bow down to the mob. No, we need to rise up.
The concert was moved to the town of Shubenacadie. Feucht's Canadian tour will cross the country through the month of August. Well, it's no secret that Alberta gets its fair share of hail, and now it's driving researchers to the area. Western University in Ontario researchers have arrived in the province to do just that. The Northern Hail Project is working to better understand and predict the devastating forces of nature around Hailstorm Alley, which runs from High River, which is just south of Calgary, to central Alberta. It's the site of more than 40 hailstorms every summer, causing hundreds of millions of dollars in damage.
We've been out here every summer since 2022 doing field work, which is instrumental for our research because we adopted a ground-up approach of collecting data on the ground. And Hail Alley, as the name suggests, is where we have a lot of hail in the summer months. So it's an obvious choice to come here to collect hailstones. Our long-term goal is to better understand the meteorology, the climatology, and the impacts of hailstones. So one of our big foci is to increase resilience of municipalities and cities.
The Bar-U Ranch south of Calgary wants to get the word out about a historic painting they are trying to recover that was accidentally sold earlier this month. The painting comes from a local Calgary artist who regularly displays her paintings at the Bar-U's general store. The painting in question depicts the Bar-U site before the ranch was established with herds of bison. While the painting was initially meant to be on consignment for sale, the artist opted to sell the painting to Bar-U after deciding it was meant for the store to keep. However, a staff member in the gift shop who was unaware of the fact sold the painting to a customer. Now the volunteer organization Friends of the Bar-U Ranch are trying to track down the customer to get the painting back.
A gentleman walked in and said, "Oh, is that for sale?" And the brand new staff member went, "Well, I don't know." So they took it down. There was no sold sticker on it. And being a really proactive staff member, she went into the system to see if she could find it. And she went, "Oh, yeah, it's in here. This is what the price is." And the gentleman went, "Oh, I'll take it." And unfortunately, that was the cost of the materials in this painting. And it should have been transferred from our inventory into our assets at a larger value. And that step didn't happen, and it was the perfect storm.
Friends of the Bar-U Ranch say they don't blame him for buying the artwork, but they will offer a total refund if it's returned. Seasons Retirement Communities held the 2025 Remarkable Residence Program at 4 of its senior living communities in Canada, an event celebrating those who make these spaces truly special. Well, this year's event featured heartwarming stories of resilience, wisdom, and legacy. Residents from Ontario, Alberta, and British Columbia participated. However, the main recognition went to a senior from Lethbridge whose life story deeply touched hearts.
I moved in here after my wife had passed away.
It's a story marked by love and loss, which continues to inspire all who hear it.
I went on a mission for my church, and when I returned, I met my wife Marjorie. I took her home and I proposed to her in February and married her in March. We had been married 68 years when she had passed away, and I was fortunate that I retired when I was 55. Marge and I spent all our time together doing things, going places, and developing a very special relationship. She supported me in everything I did, and she brought love into our home. When she passed away, I not only lost my wife, but I lost my best friend.
Today, at nearly 94 years old, Harris stands as a living testimony to resilience, continuing to leave a meaningful mark on his community. Alongside the memory of his great love, his passion for serving others remains unwavering.
What you plant in your mind in the morning, you will harvest in the afternoon, be it good or evil, so plant well. And I think that a positive thought in the morning or a good thought in the morning starts your day out right. I just feel that we all have a responsibility to try and help each other out. So that's one way that I thought. I was taught that when I was a child, to love and appreciate other people and to find some ways and means of being able to help them. I've been told that if you want to be happy, you want to help other people to be happy, and you will be happy too.
Harris turned his recognition into a gift of hope. His wish was that Seasons Leverage Gardens donate $10,000 to Operation Smile Canada.
I have 4 children, 12 grandchildren, and 24 great-grandchildren. I guess I was surprised that I won the contest. My kids, they were going to make sure I won. They contacted all their friends.
Boyd came to us about a little over a year ago, and his thoughtful moments, he'd give us a thought of the day. He was always checking in on us, and that's kind of what made us nominate Boyd for his experiences. We got to know him on a different base. For our home, it's just fantastic to have Boyd be the winner.
Success to me is the ability to look back over my life and to be able to smile. I can look back over my life and I can smile. Well, I would hope that people, that they in turn would feel that they have a responsibility to help out somebody else, to reach out to them.
His story shows that the will to help never fades. For Bridge City News, I'm Heidi Echavarria.
Thank you, Heidi. Such a sweet story, so heartwarming. That is your Forum Daily West report. I'm Jeanette Roche. Thanks so much for watching.